Hey guys, welcome to Mind Chat. So, I thought it would be a great idea to start the podcast with a live snapshot, if I can call it if I can call it that. So, what do I mean with it? Basically, is just to give myself a snapshot of where I'm at, what I'm working towards to, and what's the actual position, basically. So, I would like to start about the fact that I'm what I like to call a self help, self improvement junkie. I've I began reading books about when I was 15, 16, and it was no fantasy. It was self help books. They generally always have the same subjects, at least the same categories, and at that time, it was books by Paul Ekman. So if you don't know, he's a great guy. Basically, the TV show Lie to Me is inspired by his work and his research. Um, Honestly, that book or those books, I don't even know if you can call them self help. Um, I also honestly don't really like the self help image that books got. Um, but that's another thing. I will see if I talk about it. So yeah, I began reading books from Paul Ekman. I talk mainly about facial expressions, and I loved it. So I continued. I read other books by him about emotions, also powerful stuff. And then I don't know how I heard about the book by Dale Carnegie, very old book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, if I'm not wrong. And I really think that book started my reading journey. So from there on, I've read hundreds of books already, and maybe not hundreds, but at least 100, 100 something. And yeah, I've also fallen into the trap of feeling that I'm progressing because I'm reading about what I should do, but then not implementing it. And that's also something I struggle in my life generally. So I tend to over prepare for stuff, whatever it be. Might be at work, might be a personal, whatever. And I think it goes in the same direction. So I began reading. I felt I had, for example, a goal. Let's say money wise, I wanted to start a business when I was 16, and I was dreaming of millions and being millionaire by 20 and living the rich life, whatnot. Um, and in my mind, it had to go through entrepreneurship, creating a business, yeah, that kind of stuff. And the fact is, I'm here 12 years later, and it didn't happen. And over the years, not all the time, but at least in the beginning, I really felt I was doing some progress because I was reading about it. I was watching a lot of content, YouTube videos. I even bought some courses. So I was really investing time, energy in it, but I was not acting. And yeah, I think the point I really want to transmit in this episode is acting is the most important step. So I still struggle with that, honestly. Um, I have a very different point of view right now about money goals, life goals. They're really not the same anymore. But again, I still struggle. So when I tend to to set a goal to myself, I still the first my first instinct is go read about it, go watch videos, listen to podcasts about it, and I think that's great because it does give you some preparation, and it has helped me a lot in my life. That's also true, of course. But yeah, sometimes that acting part is missing, and also what happened already multiple times is I invest so much time, invest learning about it, preparing, that I get burned out, not in the real burnout sense, but I get so tired of the subject and of investing time and seeing no results that I abandoned those same goals even before starting them. And I think that's honestly something a lot of people struggle with. Uh, and I'm no exception. So I began, ironically, reading a book yesterday. And because I was already thinking about this subject, I already thought I might speak on this about this in the podcast. And I told myself, okay, so let's begin that book. And yeah, it really began also by explaining what I just said. Most people lose even before starting because they don't start. And yeah, I'm no different than you guys who are in the same situation. Um, but I'm really working on that. So I don't know when we'll talk about my goals, but yeah, I'm also decided to move towards them, act upon them. Just maybe also a detail. I think there are people who don't start because they're afraid. And of course, there are some goals that are where I'm also afraid of starting because of what it means. Um, but my personality, I'm not that risk averse. So generally, when I see situations with risk, I I'm pretty stoic about it. I generally can measure the risk against reward and make, I think, at least in my point of view, good choices that are not dominated by fear. So in my case, I don't even think it's that much the fear of starting. Yeah. I think honestly it's more the fear of losing. You can say, of course, it's related, and I understand that part. But yeah, I think I really fear the fact that I invest hundreds, thousands of hours of money, not that much even because money you can make it back, but time mainly. That you invest so much time and just to discover that basically you failed. That really scares me. I think that's also mostly the point where I'm afraid, basically. Okay, so that's one point. Self-improvement junkie. Um, 8 9 minutes. Yeah, we can still go for another one. And I think that would be the fact that sometimes you create an image of yourself, rightfully or not. So I'm going to talk about me. I think it was rightfully so. So I really like sports. Like I said in my introduction, I really care about my health, and that goes through sports. So for this story, if I can say, about I think 4 years ago. Basically, it was during the pandemic where everyone and everything was locked down. I really felt that I needed to move more because we lived in a small apartment with my wife, 50 square meters. Sorry, I can't, not right now, uh, tell you that in feet, square feet, but yeah. But it's bigger than a studio. It was an one bedroom apartment, and yeah, I had some dumbbells and I trained. I did some uh, some weightlifting, but I really missed cardio. So what did I plan? I bought a bike. It was really hard to get bikes and bike parts at that time. I searched a lot. I got one, and some time after, so it was great. I went on my bike, yeah, and did some good kilometers. And then I had to return to work. So I never stopped working. When we were on lockdown, I just switched to home office for the first time also in my life. And but I didn't lose or didn't have one day where I didn't work. Of course, I'm very happy because I know a lot of people got laid off, and it was really hard times. Um, yeah, I didn't, so great for me. Yeah, so we had to return to the office slowly. So at first, one day a week, just to see how it goes. You had to warn because you could not be there more than I don't know, one person in every I don't know how many square meters. It was something like that, and I began thinking. So what if instead of taking the public transports, because I always took them already for school, I have about 20 kilometers, uh, I would say 13, 14 miles. And yeah, I thought to myself, why not go by bike? So that's exactly what I did. I took it one day in the afternoon in a weekend and went to my work just to see how the commute was, if I had to, yeah, if the roads were good, and they were pretty much okay. So then I began. I took my bike in very early in the morning, biked to work, and at the end biked back. And during 1 year, so basically after that, we began gradually coming back to work more frequently, up to 3 or 4 days a week. And that's exactly what I did. So for that year, I set the goal to myself: you will not once take public transportation or car or whatever. You will go by bike every day. If it rains, you will go. If it snows, you will go, even though winter was over. But yeah. And I had the fixed date also in my head. So I thought it was, I think, during 6 months, I wanted to do that. And that's exactly what I did. So 3 days a week, it was a first for me. In some month I put 2,000 kilometers on my bike. Also, it was great. I felt great. Uh, yeah, so that's a good thing to do if you can. And that gave me, so that's the point I'm coming to. I got the reputation of being the sports guy in my office. So the sports guy who eats healthy, the sports guy who comes by bike, yeah, the healthy guy. I didn't choose that that name, that that image. At least I didn't want. I didn't do it for that. I did it for myself, of course. Also, in regular time, so during the pandemic, there was no one on the roads. But in regular time, I mean, like right now, going by bike or going by transport or by car, it's always the same time. Basically, our roads are very, very congested, and you always lose tons of time. If I take the train, I have to go further, so I lose that time there. And then the train's quicker, but yeah, I lose the time to the train, and yeah, so you understood. Bus is pretty close, but it goes by in the road on the road, so a lot of traffic. And car is the same thing, and I hate it even more because you are trapped. You cannot do anything else. Yeah, you can listen to a podcast or listen to some music, but that's it. And if I'm on the bus, I can at least read a book, sleep, whatever. I have more flexibility, and that's what I really am all about. So I don't take the car to go to work. And by bike, even though it's that distance, it's the same time because, yeah, you don't have to stop in traffic. Also, we have a lot of cycling path. It's about 60% cycling path, 40% road. And yeah, that's then what I did. The year after, though, I didn't have that goal anymore. I still took my bike, but I really felt that in in my colleagues' minds, the image they had of me was a complete different image of who I am and what I am. For example, I also don't like sugary stuff. Um, yeah, so whatever it might be, cakes, candies, whatever. And they mainly eat it all the time. So generally they put their candies near me because they know I won't touch them. And they had then that image that I never eat anything unhealthy. Whatever. And one time, and again, I never lied about it. So when they sometimes still asked if I wanted to have some candy or some chocolate, whatever, I generally answered no. Mainly answered no. And then there were comments, "Oh man, you are really strong. You really have a very strong will." And I said, one part of it, yes, because I was doing some diet back then, and I didn't want to eat the candies. But I said that's also not my jam. If you try me with a hamburger or some French fries, yeah, it will be a harder challenge for me. And one day I went to McDonald's and the colleague asked where I went to eat. So I told McDonald's. And then people were talking and stuff. It really got silent. Everybody looks at me. What? You went to McDonald's? I was a little bit confused. Yeah, what's the problem? How is it possible that you went to McDonald's? Well, I laughed a little bit, and we joked around, and I told them again. I never said I wouldn't, and I didn't go to McDonald's. I never said I don't eat unhealthy stuff. They just created that image of me. But yeah, so that story I think really illustrates the point that sometimes you give an image of yourself. Sometimes you want to give that image, so you describe yourself as being a particular way. And that really can hit you back. If you use it in a good way, let's say, if you give an image of someone you want to become, that might be really a good advantage because people will hold you up accountable to that. And when you contradict yourself with that personality you want to be, then people might call on you and say, "Yeah, how is it that you are doing this?" And instead of that, since you say, um, so sometimes I struggle with that though, because I feel like if people see me a certain way and I'm not, and I also don't want them to see me that way, I feel a little bit like a fraud. And for example, right now, if I eat something unhealthy, that happens sometimes, I almost feel like I want to hide it. So yeah, that's also that's something I'm struggling. I want to free myself of that um, weight, if I can say so. So that if I feel like eating shit, I just eat it, and I will handle other comments and point of views better than I do now. At least that's my goal. But yeah, so guys, use that if you can, but in a good way. So use that to hold yourself accountable for stuff you want to be or goals you want to achieve. But don't use it to give a better image of yourself than it really is, because that comes and bites you back. Bites you back, yeah. Okay, guys, so I think there was pretty much a lot of rambling in this second part. Yeah, we're at 20 minutes. Please tell me, yeah, my dog is coming back for petting. I will put a email address in the description of this episode, and also in my podcast. If you want to contact me, please don't hesitate. Yeah, hope you guys found some value in it. Hope you guys liked it, and see you in the next one.